So since like 2021, so now I've been trying to find a solution. I wanna launch 3 books. So when I make my first $100,000, I'll launch a book that like outlines. Okay, this is what I did when I made my first million, and then when I make my first 100 million. So like those are the 3 books. I think a billion, it's a little of a stretch. I think that depend on like where I'm at, but I want to launch those 3 books. And
Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast in the left state of mind. I am Ashmita and
I am Regina.
Thank you all for all your love and support throughout our journey. It's been really wonderful having all of you here. For today's episode, we have a very special guest.
Yeah, his name is Juan Hernandez, and he's also an undocumented entrepreneur and founder of Prepare Biz. So for those of you who don't know him or like want to know more about his journey, this episode will be helpful, especially if you are someone looking to start a business or, want tips about how to start your own entrepreneurship journey, right? Yeah, so this episode is packed with his experiences, story, and we had a lot of fun too. This was our first time hosting a guest. So it was kind of awkward in the beginning, but the vibes were like really nice. And yeah, it was a really good space for us to be able to meet virtually, and also hope you guys resonate and also learn a lot from his story. So we're really excited to publish.
yeah, so hey everyone, my name is Juan Hernandez. I'm undocumented. I pretty much just document my journey on social media about starting a business. And I think the reason why I am on this mission is because I'm trying to solve the biggest problem within our community, which is like, how do you help undocumented people get more jobs? And that's really what my mission is. And I think everything that I document goes towards that. And I'm originally from Mexico, so I guess that's a fun fact.
Yay!
So why don't you tell us a little bit about like when did you come here? How was your childhood like? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, so like I said, I mean, I was born in Mexico. I came here when I was 3 years old because I actually had epilepsy. So in Mexico, they diagnosed me with post-traumatic epilepsy, and the doctors over there, they didn't know how to cure me. And my parents decided to move here, and then here is where I got cured. I took like medication like my younger years, and thankfully I haven't had like any seizure. And I think from there, I didn't know what undocumented was. I didn't know what that is. I mean, it wasn't as talked about back in the day, right? But the first time I found out was in high school because I received this internship to teach English to day laborers, and yeah, they asked me for my paperwork, and I was like, I just don't have that, So yeah, that's a little bit about like my childhood.
How old were you when you come here?
I was three, so I don't really remember much. And like I said, like I had epilepsy, so I think I don't know. It's I mean, I just hear it from my mom. I don't really remember anything, to be honest.
Wow, no, like props to you, like from having like epilepsy and then like finding out that you were undocumented to like now starting your own business and also your podcast. So I know you have had a lot of like struggles that you overcame. So like how was the cultural shock in terms of like language barriers, and how did you overcome like while being in school, like being in a new environment? How was that like for you?
I think it was. I mean, I think it was just. I think the biggest challenge that I think I didn't like deal with like a lot of cultural barrier things because like I pretty much grew up here. The only thing that I really struggled with was speaking English. That was the biggest thing that I had a hard time with. I mean, when I was in elementary, I was taking bilingual classes, Spanish and English, because I also speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And then going into middle school, I was actually bullied a lot because I couldn't speak certain things. So in middle school, I just couldn't speak English as well. I took like English learning development, only passed it until like my 8th grade. But I think those were like amongst like the biggest challenges. I wouldn't say cultural because I didn't come like when I was a little, like again, like I pretty much grew up here, so I don't really remember a lot of that aspect of stuff.
Have you always been in like LA, or did you first come somewhere else and move to LA, or how was that?
No, yeah, I mean I've been in LA, stayed in LA, haven't moved. So yeah, I pretty much grew up here. But yeah, no, haven't moved.
Wow. Yeah. So, I know like you have, a lot going on from like graduating high school to navigating like the undocumented life and like finding opportunities to financially sustain yourself. Can you tell us like how is your startup journey looking, and what works do you have planned out for yourself?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, right? I didn't know I was undocumented, didn't know what that was in high school. And then 2017 to 2022, which was last year, I attended UCLA.
Mhm.
So I went to university at UCLA. The first 4 years I didn't have DACA. And then the last year I did qualify for DACA. So I was able to see both experiences. Now, when I didn't have DACA, I actually worked as a day laborer with my dad to make some money. Are you familiar with like what a day laborer is, or you want me to explain that? Are y'all familiar with that?
I think you should explain a little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
but for our audience who doesn't know, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so if anybody ever goes to like a hardware store, like a Home Depot or any hardware store, the people standing outside that like look for jobs, that's what my dad does, and that's what I did when I didn't have DACA. I worked there. I guess like I also had a high school job, quote unquote, but it wasn't really anything. But I tried working at a restaurant, and I didn't stay there much often. I remember the first day I went, they made me like sweep the floor, and I didn't like it. I didn't stay more than one day, so I don't really call it a job. But I tried working there. And then in my second year at UCLA, I fell under academic probation, and I needed to find a way to make money. And I think like I always define myself as I started as a necessity entrepreneur. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I think I was sort of pushed into it because I needed to find a way to make money, and I was failing my classes at UCLA. So I was like, I need to find a way. And I think at that time I used to, so in high school, I used to film like YouTube videos, and I knew how to use a camera and stuff. So I just had this idea of like, what if I can start taking photos for money? So I went in my second year, I went to the entrepreneurship center at UCLA, and I was like, hey, this is my idea. This is my situation. What can I do with it? I got a list of a lot of resources on campus, and I was like, okay, I could probably do this. And then a month later, that same person that the same person that I spoke to ended up hiring me. And I think from there, she was like, can you come and take photos of student entrepreneurs? How much are you going to charge me? And, like I was just like, I need $1,000, but I was going to charge $1,000 because I mean, it was my first client, right? But I was just like, I could do it for 600. I usually do it for 800, but even though it was my first one, and I expected her to say no, and she told me yes. And the way that she paid me was through a scholarship. So she passed it through financial aid, and then I got like $600 for like taking photos of these events. And then from there, at the entrepreneurship event, there was a lot of people that didn't look like me, that were not undocumented, or like were not Latino, Latinx, whatever. And some of these students were coming from other universities, to pitch their businesses. And I never heard them think small. Like they were thinking of like, how do I build the next Facebook? How do I build the next Twitter? How do I build this? And I got inspired because I was taking photos of these students, and I started getting inspired. I started asking myself, why can't I do something similar? Why doesn't my community think this way? Like, what do they have that I don't have, right? Besides the status. So then after that, I did another event, on campus with the same lady that hired me.
Yeah.
And then I realized that on-campus events only happen once or twice a year. So there's not a lot of room for me to make a lot of money. So I was getting paid $600, but there wasn't a lot of frequency. It wasn't happening as often. So I was like, what can I do? Something that is more in need. And then I had this idea of like, okay, maybe I can take headshot photos for students, like students at UCLA, students on campus for their LinkedIn. That was my service. And I was like, how do I do this? I had no clue how to do this, but I was like, okay, you know what? I need a portfolio. I know nobody knows me, because when you start a business, nobody knows who you are realistically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a nobody. So I did a free event on campus. I was like, hey, everyone, I sent a message on GroupMe, like a messaging app. And I said, hey, everyone, I'll be hosting a free headshot event for all these students. Sign up. I got like 12 sign up. 6 students actually came to the event. It was like 15-minute headshots. And then I went through the whole process of like booking somebody, taking their photos, editing them, and then sending it to them. And I was like, that's enough of a procedure that I need to actually try to, build something. So with those photos, I built a portfolio. And then with that portfolio, I ran an Instagram ad, and then a student saw it, and then I think from there it was just like word of mouth, and that's how I had like 64 customers. I made like $8,000 like in my third year, and I was like, "Hey, this is actually something I can do," you know? And
Yeah, sustainable.
yeah. So then, and then I started implementing my TikTok. So then I started filming like,
Yes.
how-to tutorials on TikTok, and then few of my videos went viral. I had a 700,000 viewed video, 400,000 viewed video, and then I started getting people to, so I can go take photos of their car, and they're like, "Can you come take pictures of my car? Can you come take pictures of my party?" And it was starting to like a little business. I was starting to build my own brand. But then I fell into really bad depression. So like, I wasn't doing good in my studies, even though I was like making money on the side. Like I wasn't on track to graduate in 4 years. And I went through a really bad depression. Then my family and I got COVID, and I had to stay an extra year at UCLA. And so I let that go. I had to overcome depression. And now I was also going to get kicked out of UCLA in my fourth year, because I had a less than a 0.8 GPA for one of my quarters. And I was like, I don't know if I could finish. I've been through so much. I don't know if I could actually do this. And at that time, I still didn't have DACA. So I was like, what am I even going to do? Right. Even though I was building this like photography thing. And then like, I don't know what happened, but like I just said, I'm going to give it my best. I overcame those obstacles. And, I figured it out, stayed an extra year. But then this is how my whole idea came about. Okay. So then, yes. So then there was this career fair happening, right? So once I overcame all these obstacles, there was this career fair on campus for a growth marketing internship. At a startup, I was like, I have enough portfolio, I have enough things that I can talk about, right? They should be able to hire me. Besides the fact that I don't have DACA, I'm gonna just go. So I went, I got the interview, and then they wanted to hire me. Now, the only issue with them trying to hire me when I didn't have DACA is like, I don't have no documents, I don't have no social, I don't have anything, right? And I was like, that's not a problem. Like UCLA's Dream Center got my back. They know everything. Boom, boom, boom. Let me just connect you. And then I connect with them, and then I was like, no, this is gonna land. Something's gonna work out. They know. And they didn't know. So I was like, what's going on? Like, I have the skills. There's still a missing puzzle piece in this equation of like, there's undocumented students with the skill, and then there's employers that want to hire them, but there's a clear gap and there's no bridge between them. And I was like, and then I was disappointed I didn't get the internship, but I was like, what if I could solve this? Right. Yeah. So since like 2021, so now I've been trying to find a solution. And I've tried so many things. I don't know if you want me to go into each of them, because like I can speak about this forever. But
we do want to talk about your business as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So when I started, I was like, okay, how can I bridge this gap? Right. So I did some research. Let me build a recruitment agency. And the way that recruitment agencies work is you build a group of individuals, certain skill, and then you help them get a job ultimately. And I was like, if I can figure that out with the DACA community, I can figure something out for the non-DACA community, and I can potentially do that. So I went through it. I helped two of my DACA friends that had just graduated find jobs, and I was like, hey, I could actually do this. And I was in talks of like a contract. And then I started talking to like professionals on like employment law. Like, can I actually do something like this? Can I group people based on their status? And they're like, you can't do that. There are these laws. And I was like, okay, so this is not going to work. So I was like, okay, I scratched that. So the next solution that I had was like, okay, freelancing is the key to this, right? So what I built was a platform where I would be the middle person between a freelance undocumented person and a company. So I would do the marketing on both sides. So it was like a marketplace. And I was able to onboard 6 companies, organizations that needed like part-time work or like short-term work. And I was able to onboard 60 students to join my community. And now when I brought in the contracts, 6 students actually ended up getting hired through me. So I was the middle person. I would connect them. When they had like a little orientation session with the employer, I would be in that meeting to make sure that things were working out. And they got paid. So like these students in total made like $2,000 through me. And it was enough proof for me to be like, okay, this is a potential solution, Now, I always go and speak to attorneys, and that's something that I actually don't talk about like publicly, that like, when I did this project, I went to employment lawyers, I went to labor lawyers and tell them, okay, because I was doing research on, independent contracting, undocumented people. And there was like a case in Walmart that happened a few years ago that they hired independent contractors, and the way they got out was like through a lawsuit, etc. So I brought that case study to them, and I was like, would this happen with what I'm trying to build? And then they were just telling me like, oh no, like, you're moving a little too fast. These people are not insured. You got to be mindful of, the repercussions and what you're doing, etc. And I was like, okay, great. Let me move away from that idea for a little bit, because I know it works. It's just, maybe I need a little bit more time. And then the third thing that I did, was I built. Are y'all familiar with like Quora, Reddit, like those type of platforms where like people submit questions?
I'm familiar with Reddit, but yeah, not Quora.
Yeah. So I mean,
Like
they're just
Quora with a Q. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seen
yeah.
it? Yeah, but
Don't know.
don't really use it. Yeah.
Yeah. So those platforms, the way they work is people submit questions, anyone can answer it, right? So that was the third thing that I did. So I was like, let me build a platform where immigrants can submit questions, or people that fit the description, submit questions anonymously, and then other people can answer that. And that was the platform that I had like 800 users, 153 people signed up. And I was building partnerships with like two law firms. Like they also started answering questions. But the number one thing that came up was like, how do I start a business? How do I make money in the U.S.? How do I do this? And after all these 3 iterations that I went through, I was like, okay, it's clear to me that like it's either employment, it's either making money, and starting a business. So that's what like led to what I'm doing now, which is I'm trying to build a business hub for immigrants that has like all the resources needed for them to start a business. And the first version of anything is my course launching on August 13th, which is next Sunday. But eventually the goal is that like in one hub you'll pay for a whole year, and then you'll have access to either discounts or certain like accountants, people that can help you set up your business, etc. But it's a 3-step process. So the first step is I want to help them get set up. Second step is I want to help them scale. And this is where some businesses might make 100K to 100K livable like wages, and then they'll be able to hire internally. So what I realize is that if I try to, convince other organizations to hire, that's not going to work, because the immigration undocumented, it's always like, it's either this or that. But if I can actually build the next generation of immigrant entrepreneurs that can hire, I think that that's a more viable option that I'm willing to pursue. And then the third one is more ambitious, which is the third step, which is helping them retire. So if you don't have a social security number, how do you retire? Well, one option that hasn't been looked at a lot is like selling their business, right? So that would be the third step. It's extremely ambitious, where I would have to purchase a stake in the company and then help them sell it. But it's a 3-step process. And right now I'm just at the step 1 with the course. But the vision is to be nationwide, really fulfill the next generation of immigrant entrepreneurs, highlight their stories. And I feel like there could be a lot of conferences year-wide. There could be a lot of fellowships coming through what I'm building, and I can bring like that community to this community that extremely needs it. And not only will they be wealthier, but they would also be able to provide jobs and retire, which is like the whole package when this succeeds. But it's gonna take some time. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So it's everything that I've done up to this point has led me to where I'm at. When I worked as a day laborer, I realized that certain people take advantage of the community if they don't speak or they don't look a certain way. And for me, it's more on like, let's build there's already a lot of immigrant entrepreneurs out there, like street vendors. Large majority of them are immigrant entrepreneurs, except that they didn't have the education and the technology in English. Now, what happens if there is a platform that helps them prepare, to build big businesses and gives them the community, the knowledge, and the technology side? So that's that. I mean, I'll leave it at that. I mean, but it's like a whole.
Wow.
It's gonna take some time for sure, but I feel like I can solve it. So that's what I'm working on.
Is that how you came up with the name Prepare?
Yes. I was like, if only, like, because I look at my dad. My dad's also an entrepreneur, and like he has his own junk removal business, but he has limited English. He has no tech, and I'm like, but if there was somebody that helped them prepare, like imagine where his business will be. Because the biggest difference between people that like know English and know technology is that like they're able to expand as opposed to somebody that doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the second aspect of everything, where it's like the scale and stuff. But honestly, it's it's an ongoing thing. Like I still don't know what direction. It could be webinars, it could be a hub. I don't know. So that's why I'm launching something next week. So I'm like, let's see if people come through. Let's see if
Yeah.
people purchase it. And I'm gonna try to build these partnerships with all the universities in California, which would be my step one. If I can do that, then we can think about other things. But it's and I also want to say too that I didn't do this by myself. I worked with like 8 people in total. Like last year, I had a few interns, I had a lot of mistakes. And I
Yeah.
also like was part of like entrepreneurship programs at UCLA, UC Berkeley, and other places. And I raised like $27,000, like just with this business, like trying to pitch it. And so I haven't done this. I haven't gotten this far just by myself. Like it's been about like just interviewing people. Even with the course, like I interviewed like 200 people
Wow.
for the course. So it's a lot of work. But it's not just me. Like I'm and the reason why I put out content is because I want people to give me feedback, real time feedback,
Mhm.
and stuff. So yeah, I'll stop there.
So how do you plan to like fund and sustain your business right now?
Well, right now I have some funding. Like I recently got a grant. So I have that right now. But you know, when I launch the course is gonna be either $100 or $150 for the course. But next year's plan is to charge a whole year and just onboard like 1,000 people, and I should be
Wow.
good. But I just need more data. I just need more data on like what is it that people really need. If
Mhm.
I figure out that people need like funding organizations, all right, where can I find those partners? And that would be on the platform. People can pay a yearly fee. Like if I'm gonna charge $200, it needs to be a product that is at least worth $2,000.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, right now I have a job, so and unless like when I launch this course, I get a $10,000 that day, then I'll quit my job. If not, like I just use that money and then I just reinvest it and I apply for programs and stuff. So that's how I'll make it happen.
Yeah. And then we also saw that you are launching your own podcast channel. What is that going to be about?
I mean, it just fits with the brand, like I just want to document, what I'm doing. Like I just want people to see like, okay, this is what I'm up to. This is how I made $1,000 a month. These are some of the things that I'm learning. I'm not a $10,000 a month entrepreneur yet. I'm not $100,000 a month, but I would love to, because for me to get there, I need to become that person.
Mm.
But I'm not there yet. But like what I can talk about at this moment in time, then I love to document it, and hopefully people tune in and then they're like, oh, like I found something useful here and really for inspiration. But also selfishly, I just want to listen to my whole journey, because one day I wanna launch 3 books. So when I make my first $100,000, I'll launch a book that like outlines, okay, this is what I did when I
Mhm.
made my first million, and then when I make my first 100 million. So like those are the 3 books. I think a billion, it's a little of a stretch. I think that depend on like where I'm at, but I want to launch those 3 books and all this documentation of everything. Like yeah, it's just for me, really. I mean, people can tune in, but like
Oh.
it's for me to learn from my own things. So yeah, that's what it's gonna be about. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's like trial and error because you'll never know until you've launched it and then you'll get feedback, like you said. And also
Exactly.
yeah, you have like a good presence on like YouTube, TikTok, and even LinkedIn. So I think you've been doing a lot of outreach to give value to the audience, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's why it shows in your work, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, how do you take care of yourself, like in terms of mental health, not to, like burn out yourself? Because I know like this entrepreneurship can be like, oh, go, go, go. So like, how do you find that balance?
I go to the gym. So like so
Okay.
when I was dealing with depression, I mean I didn't talk about this earlier, but I used to take antidepressants when I was really like extremely depressed, anxiety major. Um but one of the things that I realized is that like when I used to go to the gym, my mental health was just great. I have to incorporate it every single day in my routine, whether it's after work, whether it's before I go to work. It really helps me just to like calm down. I turn off all my notifications if I'm at the gym. Nobody bother me. I'll either play a song that I like or I'll play an audiobook.
Mhm.
Even though sometimes when I play an audiobook and like I'm at the gym right now and I'm like doing an exercise and then they change the chapter and it says like when I'm about to hit a one like a PR, like a personal record, and then they're like chapter 2, I'm like, damn, I need like some motivation there. Because I'm like literally like this, and then they're like chapter 1. I'm like, damn, bro. So then that's it. But like yeah, so like I go to the gym. That's one thing that I try to do 5 times a week. But also because I'm trying to lose weight, you know, the quarantine ate a lot of Asian food. I love Asian food, so I'm just trying to lose that. So that's the one. I watch like boxing, so like I watch boxing occasionally on Saturdays. So
Mhm.
like if there's like a boxing thing happening, I like. I mean, it might sound bad, but I like seeing people getting knocked out. It's
Like
just
UFC, kind of.
no, like well, UFC is like martial arts.
Um,
Boxing is just like using your fists. I think it's really cool.
mm.
Um, and like reading and then spending time with my family. I think those are like the main 4 things. I used to play soccer on Sundays. I used to, but yeah, right now I can't. I don't have the stamina yet. But when I can, I'll do that. Yeah.
Mm. So you'd say you just work like 5 days a week and then spend the weekends for yourself, or
I mean I wouldn't say not necessarily like right now, like because I'm trying to launch this course. I'm kind of behind and I already publicly said, hey guys, like I'm doing this and
yeah.
I have like 30 people on the wait list already, like that signed up for my register, so it's even more pressure. But yeah, usually like Saturday, Sunday, I try to like keep it a little chiller. But I think right now I just can't. And I'm trying to raise the bar of everything, so we'll see.
I think that's our question. Like, how do you stay organized with so much going on? How do you organize yourself to make sure you give time for like everything that matters?
Right.
Yeah, well, I just set priorities, right? So, okay, so I set goals and I set my priorities. So like every single week I have well, I have several ways I manage my projects, but for my business, I have a Trello board and it has like names of clients
Mhm.
and like the hub on a weekly basis, just checking things off. That's one thing. That's the business one. Then I have 2 personal ones. One is like on my eating, and then the other one is like on my business overall. Where are we at? You know, stuff. So I keep a track of that every week. So those are 2 things. And then I use a lot of apps. So like when I go to the gym, I have an app called Strong and I can like just create templates. I don't need to write anything, but I keep track of stuff. And then I have a scale, so I keep track of that. Um, and then I try, which I'm not the best at, but I try every Monday to set like the whole roadmap for the week. So I put it like, what am I gonna do after work? Because I work in marketing, so I do like marketing at like this business in downtown LA. But you know, so I work from 10 to 6, and I try to either do something before work and something after. And as long as I can hit those goals consistently, I think. So yeah, so I do a lot of things. So I use tools, use apps, and then like I try to set things for the week, even though I'm not the best at it. But I try to focus more on the actions, not the results. So, you know, I don't like I can't control how many followers I'm gonna get tomorrow, but I can control how many videos I post. And I'm like, okay, I can control that. And if I can post, yeah, there was a point in time I was like posting 5 times a day for 5 days a week, like on TikTok, which was extremely difficult. But yeah, I just try to focus on the actions and what I
Do
can
you edit
control.
your own videos or like do you have a team that works together as well for your TikToks, your YouTube?
Content.
No, it's on me. It's on me. Yeah, it's on me, but like it's all connected, right? So like on TikTok, I have like startup diaries. I just share lessons, what I'm doing. I don't have to think of content, it's just documentation.
Mhm.
And then I like making content, so like it's something that I enjoy. Like I've been doing it since I was in high school. I filmed my whole prom. Like when I went to prom, I filmed that. So like it's just a habit. Like it's not. I don't have to think twice about it. It just happens. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's mainly me, and I like learning new things. So like the
Yeah.
podcast thing, like I had no clue on how to do it. And literally like 2 weeks ago, I knew one of my friends had a podcast, and I was like, can I pay you $100 so you can just teach me how to get set up and stuff? And he was like, yeah. So that's what I did. And I learned it. And then I launched the first episode, like literally the week after.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
really,
quick. It was quick. It was quick. Yeah.
but
So with all these social media and stuff that you do, like you probably get all like people who support you and also people who don't support you, right?
Mhm.
How do you like overcome with that?
Well, I mean, it doesn't affect me, right? Unless people are asking for help, then yeah, I try to respond. If people like say anything up, like especially it depends on the platform. I think on TikTok, I get a lot of like love, support, thank you so much. I'm gonna sign up to your newsletter type of messages. How do I start a business? That's more on TikTok. On YouTube Shorts, not that I started posting my TikToks to YouTube Shorts, I get more comments on like, oh, maybe you should try being, legal, maybe, like things like that. And at the beginning, it used to trigger me, right? But then I'm like, you know, I have their attention. Like something made like I caught their attention enough to leave a comment. And that's like a two-step process. Like first they have to watch the video, then they have to like comment. I'm like, damn, like that's good. Like, I mean, it helps the algorithm at the end of the day, like
yeah,
so I
mindset.
try to see the positive of it. But yeah, I mean, some comments are just people like trolling. So like I it doesn't affect me. Like I just it's like whatever. Yeah, it doesn't
Wow.
affect me at all.
Yeah. No, I think that's the mindset or perspective that you should have, so that's why people keep a positive mindset, and then that keeps on like fueling them to just keep on making content for yourself, and for others, right? When you don't care. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's more on like I can't control what they think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I don't know what was going through their mind why they left that comment. Maybe they had a bad experience with someone that wasn't documented, right? Like maybe that's what they've seen. And I can't agree or disagree when it's their opinion. Opinions are like people's. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, no, like how, and then like yeah, it's just they don't know enough. Like some people just don't know. Like if I could get citizenship tomorrow, of course I'll do it. Like, isn't that like the obvious thing? Like,
Yeah.
I would go ahead and do it, but I can't do that right now. So like, at least not yet. But so
We just have a few more minutes left. We do have one last question for you. It's what advice do you have for other immigrant entrepreneurs who are looking to start a business or who may be facing like similar challenges? Or like who are struggling to start a business?
Yes. What did you say?
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink the legal stuff. Don't overthink your idea. Just try to prove it to yourself that people are willing to pay you for it. So, like that, I think that's it. Like, I think a lot of people overthink, I need to know LLCs. I need to know all this. No, that's just one aspect of it, right? Like that's just you setting it up. Like the real thing about getting a business is like making money. Like if you can't make money, you're not like, it doesn't matter. You're an LLC. Like I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
As an LLC, you got to pay $800 every single year, regardless of whether you make money or not. So wouldn't you want to start making money, like before you set up your LLC and then use that money to set it up, pay somebody to do it. And then you're like, okay, now this is working, So I think don't overthink stuff. Don't overplan. Like my course, I literally had this idea since the beginning of the year. And then at the beginning of July, I was like, I'm going to launch this in August. Like, it's just going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but let me see. And then now, like, I'm starting to, like, put it out there. So just don't overthink it. If you have this idea, what is the fastest thing you can do today? And I learned this from my accelerator programs. Like, something didn't work. My mentor at those entrepreneurship programs are telling me, like, go and build momentum, like get the ball rolling, like do something, because if if you're not moving forward, you're not making any progress. And I think a lot of people confuse what's it called? I think a lot of people confuse like motion with progress. Like just because you're moving doesn't mean you're making progress. So that's how it is. That's my advice.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, because like it's really inspiring, and we really like how passionate you are about helping undocumented entrepreneurs. And even me, like I interviewed with you last year for your company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how I started like, following your journey, and we really find you inspiring. So I just love that you do the work for the community and for people, like us. So really appreciate you and your time. And yeah, it's just, the start of a successful journey, I would say, right? Yeah. We would love to talk on and know more about, all your business, all your journey. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, this is really nice and wholesome.
Yeah, of course. And let me know if I can support you in any way. Like the only way whatever I do is successful is if you're successful
Yeah.
and 10,000 other people, a million other people are successful, right? Like there's no point of somebody making it and having nobody there, like my vision of making it is okay, I made it, but also look at how many other people made it with me, right? Like
Yeah.
for example, like what if your podcast, you could one day sell your podcast to a bigger corporate, like a bigger corporation, and it actually happens more than you think. Like I don't know if that's within plans, right? But it's like you could build a podcast, you can bring other people, you can start making money. I don't know. I'm just, if there's any way I can help, let me know. Like I'm here, like legit, I'm here. Feel free to reach out. You want to connect? Like I'm here, and yeah, just know you got my support.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Juan. We might do a part 2. Thank you so much for tuning into our episode with our special guest, Juan. And I hope you guys find lots of tips and insights to start your own journey. And I hope this episode serves as an inspiration for you guys too. And again, thank you so much for the love. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And see you guys on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.